Commander Rylan Morrow wasn't known for making careful decisions. He was known for making the right ones, especially when every sensor blared warnings, every ally abandoned hope, and every logical path guaranteed death. That was why the Terran Coalition trusted him with the Silver Comet, a tiny interceptor ship so fast it could thread the rings of a gas giant without losing a molecule of paint. But even Rylan had to admit, as his ship spiraled toward the colossal Zalvari war cruiser, that this time he might have gone too far. The cruiser filled his entire viewport. Its hull bristled with organic plating, glowing nerves pulsing like the arteries of some titanic beast. The Zalvari didn't build ships. They grew them. And this one, the Vorkal, was their latest monstrosity. A fortress capable of glassing continents in a single pass. Behind Rylan, far below in the system's orbit, 1,000,000 Terran civilians sheltered in evacuation pods. The cruiser had arrived early. Too early. The fleet wouldn't reach them in time. Someone had to slow the alien dreadnought. Someone disposable. Rylan tightened his straps. "All right, girl," he whispered to the Silver Comet. "Let's give the galaxy something to talk about." He cut engines. He dove. He crashed straight into the Vorkal. The impact should have turned him to vapor. Instead, he awoke hanging upside down in darkness, suspended by something warm, sticky, and unpleasantly alive. The air tasted metallic. The walls pulsed faintly like biological machinery, thrum, 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 accompanied by a rhythmic heartbeat he prayed wasn't his own. He took one breath and regretted it. The air reeked of chemical decay. "Great," he muttered. "I survived the crash. Now I get to suffocate slowly in alien belly goop." He sliced himself free, dropped to what he hoped was a floor. The surface rippled under his boots. Even better. A voice echoed behind him, deep, resonant, and layered with too many harmonics to belong to a human throat. "You are not supposed to be alive." Rylan spun, pistol raised. A towering Zalvari overseer glided forward, draped in a carapace of chitin armor that shimmered like oil on water. Her eyes glowed with predatory curiosity. "You crashed your fragile craft into the sacred flesh of our cruiser," it hissed. "You should have been reduced to nutrients." Rylan pointed his gun. "Sorry to disappoint." The overseer tilted its head. "We do not understand humans. Every species we have conquered begs. Bargains. Breaks. But humans," its mandibles flared. "You leap willingly into death." "We call it heroism," Rylan said. "We call it madness." Rylan fired. The overseer dodged the plasma bolt with inhuman grace. It lunged. Rylan dove aside, barely avoiding the talons that gouged furrows in the living wall. He scrambled to cover, sliding behind a pulsating support column. His mind raced. He had one gun. No ship. No idea where he was inside the cruiser. And, floating helplessly outside, 1,000,000 civilians counting on him. "Think, Rylan," he whispered. "You didn't survive a high-speed crash to die in a hallway." The overseer stalked forward. "There is nowhere to run. This vessel is alive. It can feel you. It can taste you." That gave Rylan an idea so suicidal it almost felt comforting. The cruiser was alive, which meant, like any living thing, it had weaknesses. He fired again, not at the overseer this time, but at the column he'd taken cover behind. The blast ripped it open. The hallway screamed. Literal biological screaming, the psychic wail of an injured organism. The floor convulsed violently, throwing Rylan and the overseer apart. Lights flickered. Tubes burst. Fluid spilled. The overseer shrieked, clutching its head. "Foolish human. You harmed the ship itself." "Yeah," Rylan said, staggering to his feet. "And I'm just getting started." He ran. The middle, inside the monster. Rylan barreled down corridors that twisted like digestive tracts, following vibrations he hoped indicated the ship's core. He needed to cripple the Vorkal from the inside. Damage it so badly the Terran fleet arriving later could finish the job. Or, if he was really lucky, kill it outright. But there was something else he hadn't expected. Voices. Human voices. He followed the sound to a chamber full of blue-white stasis pods. At least 20. He wiped the bioslime from one pod's glass and exhaled sharply. Inside floated a Terran girl, no older than 16. Prisoners, he whispered. They're harvesting them. As if in response, a tendril extended from the ceiling, brushing the pod with something disturbingly gentle. Rylan raised his weapon. Not today. One blast severed the tendril. Alarms screeched through the chamber, but he didn't care. He smashed the pod's control membrane, and the stasis gel liquefied. The girl collapsed into his arms, gasping. Easy, Rylan said. I'm Commander Morrow. What's your name? Sarah, she whispered. Where are we? Inside the ship that kidnapped you. She shuddered. They put something in my head. I can hear them. That's not creepy at all. She grabbed his arm weakly. But I can also hear you. Rylan blinked. Me? I think I can guide you. They're all connected. The ship, the overseers, the crew. Their minds are linked. I can feel where the core is. Rylan stared at her, stunned. Kid, he said, you just became the most important person in the galaxy. The turning point, the heart of the beast. Sarah guided him through living corridors and tendril-laced junctions. Her breath was shaky, her skin pale, but her voice remained steady. Left, now down, there's an opening ahead. The ship doesn't know which one of us to track. Its senses are confused. Good, Rylan panted. Let's keep it that way. Finally, they reached it, a vast sphere pulsing with red luminescence. The core. It looked like a beating heart the size of a small moon. The Vorkal lives through this, Sarah whispered. Destroy it and the whole ship dies. Perfect. Rylan pulled out the last explosive charge from his belt, a fusion spike, enough to destabilize anything short of a star. Before he could plant it, the floor bulged, splintered, ripped open. The overseer emerged, flanked by two more. You harm our young, the first hissed. You wound our flesh. Enough. Sarah whimpered. Rylan stepped in front of her. You want to fight? Pick on someone who didn't spend the last week in a test tube. The overseers lunged. Rylan fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Plasma bolts lit the chamber. The biological floor writhed under each impact. One overseer fell, its skull half melted by a point-blank shot. Another caught him by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. You are insignificant, it rasped. Funny, Rylan choked, because I feel pretty important right now. Sarah screamed. The core reacted. A psychic shockwave erupted from the heart, triggered by Sarah's fear echoing through the Zalvari network. The overseer stiffened, its mind overwhelmed. Rylan seized the moment, firing a single desperate shot. The overseer collapsed. Only the original remained. It stepped forward, but slower now, wary. Sarah whispered, Rylan, the core is vulnerable. Now. He nodded, limping toward it. But the overseer moved too, intercepting him, talons slashing. Rylan stumbled back. Sarah stepped forward. You're connected to me, she whispered to the overseer. That means I know your fears. The overseer froze. Rylan didn't. He jammed the fusion spike into the base of the core. The sphere pulsed. The ship screamed. Sarah, run. They sprinted toward the exit as the core's glow intensified, each pulse brighter and faster. The climax, the death of a war cruiser. They raced through corridors collapsing around them. Organic walls hemorrhaged fluids. Ceilings split open. Air grew thin as the ship lost containment. Rylan carried Sarah when she stumbled. He didn't slow down even when razor-sharp tendrils slashed his arm open. The spike detonated. A shockwave tore through the vorkal, shaking the world around them. Chunks of the cruiser ripped free, sucked into the void. Rylan saw the faint glow of space through ruptured walls. "We're not going to make it," Sarah cried. "Yes, we are." He hurled himself, and Sarah, through a gash in the hull, and they fell into open space. For a heartbeat, they floated weightless as the vorkal erupted behind them, a starburst of alien flesh and fire. Then a tractor beam caught them. A Terran frigate, the Arden Dawn. They were pulled aboard as the remains of the alien cruiser drifted like dying embers across the darkness. Rylan collapsed onto the deck, breathing raggedly. Sarah clung to his arm. The bridge crew stared at the drifting ruin of the dreadnought, stunned. He'd done it. One man. One tiny ship. Against the deadliest cruiser in the sector. The ending, what shocked the galaxy. Rylan became a legend overnight. Not because he destroyed a war cruiser. Not because he saved 1,000,000 lives. But because of what the sensor logs revealed when analysts reviewed the crash trajectory. He hadn't just rammed the vorkal. He'd struck the exact neural cluster that controlled its defensive reflexes. A 1 in a billion chance. The only spot that allowed a human-sized impact to slip deep inside before the ship could seal itself off. A maneuver no AI predicted. A maneuver no admiral would have ordered. A maneuver only a human would attempt. The Zalvari High Command issued a statement, their first communication in years not soaked in threats. "We do not understand humanity. We do not understand their madness. We do not understand their refusal to die. We will reconsider our war." The galaxy watched in disbelief as the unstoppable armada halted its advance. One commander's insane gamble had shaken an empire. One crash had changed the course of the war. And one rescued girl, connected to the enemy's mind, became humanity's greatest intelligence asset. As for Rylan, he stood aboard the Arden Dawn, gazing at the stars. Sarah approached quietly. "You didn't have to save me," she said. "I didn't save one girl," he replied. "I saved the future." She smiled. "What happens now?" Rylan smirked. "Now? We prepare. The galaxy's watching, and we're not done shocking it yet." He turned toward the stars, the wreckage of the vorkal glimmering behind him like a warning to any who dared threaten humanity again.